Hello, it's me, Julie, and today I'm talking about Mary Sue characters. You may have heard this term getting thrown around, generally as an insult, but today I'm going to talk about what a Mary Sue character is, why it's sometimes wrongly applied to characters, and how to avoid writing Sue-ish characters. First of all, let's start with a definition. A Mary Sue, or Gary Stu, is a fictional character with overly idealized and hackneyed mannerisms, lacking noteworthy flaws, and primarily functioning as a wish-fulfillment fantasy for the author or reader. It is generally accepted as a character whose positive aspects overwhelm their other traits until they become one-dimensional. So when someone says this about a character, it usually means you did something wrong. When you boil this insult down, if somebody calls your character a Mary Sue, it means your character isn't believable. They're too good to be true, or the way others react to your character isn't realistic, or maybe the rules of the story seem to be written around just making your character look awesome. Obviously, you don't want to have this kind of character or this kind of story, but what you should know is that sometimes critics do call a character a Mary Sue just because they're special or talented, and that's not an accurate use of the term. In fact, readers actually love reading about exceptional characters, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to write about the most interesting character in the room. So what I'm going to do here is outline some of the most common traits of Mary Sue's, and I will discuss how to write extraordinary characters without succumbing to the most common pitfalls of doing so. One common trait of a Mary Sue is how she's described as being beautiful or exotic, usually in such a way that the author almost seems to be admiring her whenever she's described. Multiple dramatic adjectives are thrown around, usually with overused comparisons like fiery red hair or glittering emerald eyes. It reads like the author seems to be looking for reasons and places to highlight how gorgeous the character is, and if that character's beauty is not particularly relevant, it gets tiresome and ultimately alienates the reader. But does that mean you shouldn't write about beautiful characters? No, we write fiction, and there's no reason we can't have our lead actress be attractive. Just try to stay away from inventing reasons to mention it constantly, because your character is in a story, not posing for a photo shoot. If there's some reason your character has to be the hottest hottie to ever hot, okay, I'll trust you, and I'll trust you to have the other characters realistically reacting to that beyond canned attraction or jealousy. But if that's not the case, consider making your character's beauty less of a focus and less dramatically described when it's mentioned. Mary Sues are frequently described as being perfect at everything and don't seem to have any negative traits. This is not only unrealistic, it's alienating for the reader. We can't relate to someone who never struggles with anything normal people struggle with, and we can't relate to being good at everything or loved by everyone. But you also do not want to give your character disadvantages and flaws as an afterthought. You can't balance her like a math equation. It'll make her seem constructed. You need her flaws to be the ones that grow automatically from her situations, and you'll find them easily if you just think. You've not succeeded in balancing your Sue-ish character if you just throw in a negative trait like clumsiness in the name of not making her perfect. In most cases, a character's flaws and vices will seem authentic if they're connected to their strengths and situations. A character who's superior at their passion of choice is likely to be a little arrogant, for example, or a character who's always been rich may have no tolerance for roughing it, or a character who's always the belle of the ball may act like a brat if the potential partner she likes isn't interested in her. Accept your character's vulnerabilities, and I'm not talking about giving her a grafted-on super weakness, like a convenient phobia or an aversion to iron or sunlight. She should have vulnerabilities as any person does. If she's truly so powerful or beautiful or special that it bowls people over, isn't it kind of uncomfortable if no one else is comfortable with her? If she's not vulnerable unless another character sticks kryptonite in her pants, it's not an accessible human weakness that anyone can relate to. In bad stories, all the supporting characters either love the Mary Sue or get punished for not loving her. But let's just make it clear that you can't have an interesting story if everyone else is obsessed with your protagonist and reacts to her in the exact same ways. If your character is a person whom everyone wants to befriend or take to bed, make her actually likable. This is probably harder than it sounds, but just think about it while you write the character. If you met this person, would you actually want to hang out with her? Some people wouldn't, so don't push all the characters into loving the protagonist anyway. Have supporting characters sometimes call the Sue out or criticize her. Realistic characters will do this. If you have a character who's beautiful and powerful and knows it, she may get a big head, but I guarantee you that people will express jealousy, lack of tolerance, and behind-the-back gossip if your character is a jerk. And you can't have everyone who does that get punished by the story to uplift your character, because those characters are probably right sometimes. So don't make all the supporting characters have the same reactions to your character, and make their feelings complicated. Everyone your character meets has an entire lifetime of experiences leading up to that meeting, influenced by culture, environment, upbringing, and personal preference. Your drop-dead sexy character should still meet potential love interests who don't love her. And your drop-dead sexy character should not always be able to seduce the object of her affection. Your superpowered character should meet people who don't want her superpowered help without being therefore cast as an antagonist with a burning jealousy. Characters with difficult or alienating situations should still be able to meet people who can love them, etc. And these supporting characters should sometimes have mixed feelings about your possibly Sue-ish character. Maybe they're awed and impressed by the Sue's abilities, but prefer not to show this aspect of themselves and end up treating the Sue gruffly or unfairly because of it. Maybe they're attracted to the beautiful Sue, but have too much self-respect to make a move on someone just because they're pretty, and so on. Many bad books spend a lot of time practically drooling over the super special protagonist, and this keeps her at a distance. The reader is encouraged to view her more like a piece of art than a person, and we can't connect to her if the author is too busy describing her beautiful body or her kick-ass abilities to let us know what's going on in her head. Make your character's thoughts accessible, and make sure the reader understands why she thinks the way she does. A romantically attractive, mysterious, special, and/or kick-ass character will seem a lot more human and understandable if the reader can be let into her private world. She surely has feelings about a lot of experiences in her life, and it really helps if you can filter the mundane experiences as well as the experiences that directly relate to her specialness through the voice of the character into the reader's mind. Even if you've never felt the way this character does, you should be able to understand why those experiences feel the way they do. Realistically, being special will change your character's interaction with the world, and sometimes that has negative or unexpected effects. Your character should always be a person first. They shouldn't be immune to self-esteem problems, self-consciousness, anger, confusion, none of which is exclusively related to their special conditions. And keep in mind that even though we make fun of characters who angst too much, some angst is appropriate when you really are the only person like yourself in the world. Super special characters are going to do this. Heck, regular people do this. Let them. Just don't make it their whole lives. Consider letting your character weird herself out occasionally. You can show her discovering new things about her special talents or effects on others and seeming surprised or bewildered or impressed or intimidated or alienated. And we've all seen those characters who seem to have been born knowing more than the teacher, with no explanation of how. These characters are praised and worshipped as the next big prodigy, but when their talents are handed to them on a silver platter, it's hard to get connected to someone who never had to fight or try. So it's really a plus to actually show your character having to practice or hone her talents, instead of just suddenly appearing on the battlefield one day, made from a superior mold and destined to kick ass without the necessary practice and training. Lots of stories show characters building their skills, but including some vulnerability and some being impressed at her own skills, especially if she learns them quickly, is really important. If it isn't something traditional that she's learning, especially if it's something unique to her, other people's shocked reactions should make her a little self-conscious, even after a long time. And it's a good idea to avoid making your character unrealistically good at things that don't have anything to do with her specialness. Your character can be the best in the biz at her specialty without being the best at everything. If your character needs to be the best fighter for plot-relevant reasons, do we really need her to also be the best cook, the best artist, and of course the one whose singing voice stuns musicians, even though she of course has never had a lesson? It just sets your story up to be nothing but your character running around impressing everyone. If your character is the best at something, make peace with it and go with it, but let someone else win the damn spelling bee. Let her get beat up at school. Let her lose the talent competition and be a bad loser. Everything coming easily to a Sue is part of what makes her utterly ridiculous and inaccessible. Include glimpses of your character's life where she does not stand out. Feature her own jealousy, confusion, or incompetence, and make it clear that there are aspects of her that are just like everyone else. It makes a character more tolerable, more likable, if she asks for help now and then, or needs a shoulder to cry on about relationship issues, or gets made fun of for something stupid she failed at. A Sue-ish character often isn't used to feeling like this, so some sullen entitlement will sometimes come out, but we need to see it all. To wrap up, don't be afraid to make your characters special, even to the point of supposed Sue-ishness, if you can write the story to support it. Make your character a little of everything, the way real people are. We want to read about special, attractive, interesting, amazing people, and will willingly accept these traits if they're framed within personalities that accurately and naturally reflect what it would be like to be special in the ways that they are.